So
right.
I've just been late to meetings left and right today. So everybody gets the quick intro.
There we go.
It's like, what's my shortest intro I have in the list? So Skip's like, are you joining the call today? I'm like, oh, yeah. I was talking to Steve and you over at
Well,
Adaptive
let's get it fired
Catalog,
off.
and we were coming up with some amazing things, right? Like, we're coming with this idea, like, so anybody doesn't know who Adaptive Catalog is, they're the tool you need in your MSP, where if you hate quoting, basically, like, they'll do it all for you. They'll go look up all the prices for you and say, hey, that model number's doesn't exist anymore. Here's the comparative one. And like they're the next Ingram Micro. Isn't that your favorite one, Skip?
The one I used a lot. I wouldn't necessarily call them favorite, but I enjoyed working with several people at Ingram. They had some great people there.
Yeah. So my dream is to take our proposals we have and have them be Adaptive Catalog consumable, which there's only one piece of information, which is super easy to do. And that's the model number. I just need to get the model number from the asset inventory into our quotes or into our proposals. And then you can just take our proposal and just consume it in Adaptive Catalog and immediately get back your quotes. So then you tell your client, hey, we got the actuals back for the May asset replacements. Can I go ahead and buy? And the client says, yep, you're good. And then they move forward. Or you can have your MSA pushed out from Adaptive Catalog. It's all about laziness, people. I am lazy, and I want you all to be lazy too. All right, what are we talking about today? I think we're talking about stakeholder interviews again.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
And I don't know. I try not to be pushy, right? But this is one of the things I really want to push on, because I don't think MSPs leverage this as much as they should. And maybe because, yes, part of my DNA is I'm cheap. Okay. Stakeholder interviews are incredibly cheap for you as an MSP. I mean, everything you do has a cost, right? It's not just what comes across your Amex. It's time, it's energy, it's focus on all the other things you have going on. So I get that. But it reinforces my opinion on key stakeholder interviews that they are incredibly inexpensive, but fantastically valuable for MSPs.
Yeah. And I probably made the biggest impact as a VCIO when I was doing straight up consulting with stakeholder interviews. And I would cascade them, right? I would sit there and what a stakeholder interview is, first of all, is you at your client, you have your point of contact, but then you have stakeholders. Stakeholders are people in the company that have vested interest in making sure the company succeeds. So in your MSP, you have some stakeholders. In the client, you have stakeholders. Those are usually your directors, their mid-level managers, or that one person who seems to know everything. They're employee number 2. They have no title, but
yes,
every decision goes through them. You can look and see who they are. And so you start with them. Like, say at a school, you start with a principal. And the principal says, we're having these issues. And like, hey, I would love to talk with a subset of your teachers. Can you just put together some of your more opinionated teachers, and let's have a little strategy session. I'll bring in donuts. I'll bring in some lunch, and let's talk through the frustrations with technology and with classroom schedules and blah, blah, blah. And in these schedules, in these sessions, you get these people and you sit back and you listen to them talk, and they're talking about how time cards are really hard for checking out kids, or it's really hard to do live streaming in the classroom for some reason. It's always breaking down, and the teachers just hate troubleshooting because they've got 16 to 25 kids in their room, and they're trying to troubleshoot technology because they don't have a tech on site. And so these things you start writing down, it's just a laundry list of things that, hey, man, well, that's $10,000. That's $20,000, like in your head. And you're like, I can solve these things.
Yep.
That's how it gets you cash immediately.
You mentioned something, somebody that doesn't have, somebody that doesn't have a job title.
Or getting comments.
Those are interesting. Okay, good, good. Yeah, I was trying to bring up, I have some other stuff I'll bring up here in a second, but it's that person whose job title, they don't have one, or it doesn't seem very impressive. You know, they've just come up with something and they're analyst, right? But they may be the analyst that the CEO goes to every time they want something done, every time they want an opinion. It is the executive assistants. Sometimes they are more plugged in than just about anybody else many times in organizations. So I always encourage people to get the list of key stakeholders from the CEO. Right? And I was looking for, I had a little letter, a little templated letter that I put together, and I couldn't find it. But you start with the CEO and say, hey, give me a list of 2 or 3 people that I can talk to over the next year about your organization. And you preface this, I'm not going to talk tech with them. I just want to understand what your business does in a deeper level. And I want to make sure I'm helping you guys meet your goals and conquer your challenges. And they will give you the list. They will give you the best list. And then you can cascade that down. So you talk to that key stakeholder, you get to the end of it and you say, hey, I'm going to do another one of these next quarter. Do you have an idea for somebody that I can talk to? And you just leverage that. There is a whole, especially as the organizations get bigger, there is a whole community of people inside the business that, you know, they get it done, right? They know what's going on. They know the challenges and they're really important. And you need to talk to those people. Don't just talk to the person who is signing the checks or scheduling downtime. You need to talk to the people that are actually making that business run.
Yes. And that is super important because even if you look at your own MSP and how it runs, I encourage you to treat your own MSP and clients the same. How you see your MSP, how you're talking to your clients needs to be aligned. And so who are the stakeholders in your company? Who do you go to ask the opinion of when you need to make a decision? These are your stakeholders. And then this is going to result in cash for you because now, like when you think about when I come in and solve a problem for you immediately, like, oh my gosh, you're going to save time for my quoting. Oh gosh, sign me up. I don't care what the cost is. I'm going to save time on it. I don't have to do it anymore. What do I need to do to get that done? So I run over to your client and I talk to these stakeholders and they're telling me about how they can't get online. Their streaming is always chunky because they're trying to do these really cool virtual classrooms and they can't. And I'm like, oh, you know, we haven't reviewed your ISP in probably 3 years. We should probably prioritize that project, you know? And there's like, well, we'd really like to be able to use this and this and this, or, you know, whatever their time cards. Like, hey, let's prioritize that project. You got 10,000 projects you can do with this client. If you had a blank checkbook, you could work on this client forever. However, getting those projects prioritized that solve an immediate problem for the client, that's where your revenue is immediately because you are solving a problem. Somebody came into me today and said, I can make all of your finance issues go away with reporting. Like, I really hate reporting, right? I really don't like doing my receipts. I drag my feet on uploading statements and doing analysis. If somebody said, hey, you don't have to do that anymore, done, you know? But there's a certain aspect I have to do some of this, like, right? It's important. It's just I don't like it. So the point is that your client has these things as well. Do you know what they are?
And it's the business alignment. We talk about that all the time, and I get it. I mean, I show up to, you know, different businesses in the past, and I'm talking to them, and you know, I may know something about their business because I have been doing this a while, but there are times when I don't have a clue. You know, I started working with someone a few years back, and they were kind of an industry global top tier manufacturer for dental implants and various things that go in your mouth, right? For me, it was fascinating. I was just interested, but I didn't know anything about their business. How are they doing this? Where's the research come from? Are you actually making this here? You know, and so I had no clue, but I was able to sit down with one of their key stakeholders and just let them talk about their business. And we uncovered a lot of things. I mean, they were, for one, everybody's security conscious, right? But these guys had a very, very specific concern about their intellectual property. It was unique to them. They were, again, one of the top tier, people in the globe around this. And their manufacturing process, the compounds they were using, were highly guarded secrets. So when we talk to security about these guys, we've got a whole nother level to go up to. And you might not know that if you're not having these key stakeholder interviews. If you're just talking to the person who is the office manager and they go, yeah, we're really concerned about security. I think, two-factor would probably be good with the board. They would like that. Okay. No, these guys, they need more than two-factor. They've got workstations that they want a third and fourth layer on to make sure that what is literally the core of their business doesn't get stolen and used by a competitor. So fantastic opportunities and when you find those things and you talk to them and you say, hey, we know how concerned you guys are about security. We want to add on these layers to this division. All right. Maybe you don't do it everywhere, but we understand what's going on and they see it. They're like, oh yeah, those are the guys who have the keys to the kingdom, the crown jewels sit on their machines. Yes, I will pay thousands of dollars to protect that, because if I don't, I lose millions of dollars.
Yes.
Easy sell right there.
That's your stakeholders. And it's not, and entice your stakeholders with donuts. Entice your stakeholders with a free steak dinner. Richard's over there.
Steak dinner for a stakeholder. I like that.
Yeah, steaks and stakeholders. I'm coining the phrase right now. Steaks and stakeholders. There we go. Of course,
persona for that.
If Texas would get decent steaks down there, people would probably go out for them more often.
Yeah.
Nice in the Midwest, we have so many steaks that we can argue over who gets them and who has the best ones. Over on the coast, you're like, steak. Maybe once I get my yearly bonus, I can have one. Should we start doing that? We'll just bring up steaks into a conference and just like bring a George Foreman in.
There we go.
And just do Texas.
I'd show up for that one. Absolutely, man.
Texas versus Nebraska. Come and get a steak. Badge scan, get a steak. Don't worry about the food buffet over there.
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna give you a 32-ounce porterhouse.
Yeah, I've had the steak off the buffet, a time or two, and it's not a return trip.
Yeah, I wonder what that would look like. If we brought in 32-ounce porterhouses as a giveaway, for hey, you sign up for our software, we'll give you a porterhouse.
Yep.
It's like a $300 steak in New York. Anyways, so how do you get?
David gets it. Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking about steaks now. Oh, yeah, Nebraska. See, Dave. Nebraska steak. Now the question is, David, are you a corn-fed or a grass-fed guy?
No.
That's the question. Like in the Midwest, we have very good, and everybody's got an opinion on what they think is the best for the best steaks. Man, how did we get off topic here?
Steak. It was an easy detour.
Steaks, now we know how to get engagement out of everybody online. Talk about steaks. So the right questions, well, for one, is talk about steak with your clients. Is talk about things that they care about. So when you're in session, like, Skip always says, talk about the 2 Qs. What are they, Skip?
Yeah. The number one source of revenue, the number one risk to that revenue.
Okay. And if you want to know if you want to know a lot more about this stuff, actually, Mike Giovanni and I are actually doing a talk at IT Nation in 3 weeks about SWOT exercises, how to do them really quickly, and align with your clients, and how to like really gain that without actually knowing anything about what you're doing. You can run a SWOT exercise, or you can ask those 2 questions from Skip, and you can have a very great engaging conversation. Oh man, now we're into surf and turf now. is we have a great engaging conversation with your client that matters without you need to know anything about business. That's what we talk about. We can turn you into these experts because your clients already are the expert on this topic of business. You just got to give them permission to talk.
Yes.
And when you do that, suddenly you look like a guru. You look like an amazing like facilitator because you ask the right question and you let them talk. And that's how you become a business expert. And then the sales will follow because you're sitting there with 10,000 solutions in your head. And now you can prioritize the 6 of them that the client actually cares about.
Yes.
So you
And ready
discover
to move
business and
forward to.
sales. You're
Yeah.
already an engineer. You're the unicorn now.
Think of all the clients you work with and all the projects that you have out there recommended. You've talked to them about it. You've put a quote together. You've put another quote together. You've had, who knows how many different conversations, and they don't get it because they can't connect the dots. And you're thinking this is so obvious, but you're leaving out the business part. That's the obvious part to them. So finding those is really important. And so for the technical people out there, and kind of stereotypical here, I struggled with this for a little while. Until I'd done a few and realized, what my role in that was, I was like, I don't know. And so if you're a member of our platform, you can go out. The key stakeholder, the strategy report has a widget down there for a key stakeholder interview. And there's a series of bullet point questions, right? It's not detailed. They're open-ended. You ask the question and then let them talk.
Yep.
Again, back to the low cost of key stakeholder interviews, there's virtually zero prep time. I mean, getting the meeting on the calendar is about all the prep you need to do. And I've got a tip on that. But you ask a question, you speak for, 30 seconds, and then you listen to the stakeholder talk for however long it takes. Now, some folks don't talk a whole lot. Others, you won't be able to get out of the room. I mean, you just have to, throw a flag, call time, and jump out the window because they will tell you everything. But that's not a bad thing. So I even break it down. There's like 2 levels of it there, just to give you some starter material. There's kind of the basics, but then if you get someone who's going on, you can break these down in a couple of different areas. And it's just meant to help you, figure out, hey, they said this sounds really cool. What am I going to do with it? How would I address this? And then every one of those bullet points that they list become project items, or at least, deliverables in your projects when you talk to your clients. So now back to that old term we talk about, you're not talking technology, you're talking business. Yep. And your client is ready to do business.
Yeah, I mean, cater a lunch here, guys. This is worth a couple $100 of loss. Cater a lunch. Come in and say, hey, look, I want to talk to you guys about, like, you're already our client. I want to talk to you about what's going on and get ideas from the group. So I'm willing to bring in lunch from Qdoba or whatever your favorite place is, and sit around a table and do a lunch and learn. Except for I want to learn from you. So call it a reverse lunch and learn. Call it whatever you want.
Oh, I like that. Reverse lunch and learn.
And you're going to sit down and you're going to say, here are the 2 topics. I want to know what your biggest risks are this year and what your biggest sources of revenue are for this year. And I want you to tell me about what's keeping you, like what's kind of threats there. And to sit down and listen to them talk over dinner and take notes. Take that Big Chief notebook and that pencil and take notes. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come back and you're going to create opportunities in either the software or in your PSA, and take those notes and say, if they go with this solution, it's going to solve this problem. And that's what Feature Skip and I've been talking about for a while internally, is this idea of every time a client comes up with a problem, we're going to have a tag for it in the software. So when you have an opportunity, you get to tag it with a problem, a business problem that's going to solve. And this is how you talk to your clients. You don't sell them 10,000 solutions. You don't sell them the most important solutions according to you. You sell them the most important solutions according to them. And you can't know what that is until you talk to the stakeholders. Because their priorities are not aligned with yours. until you talk and you discuss. And then you can say, I like, for instance, like in our software, you guys see the top tickets tool. I will say it till the end of the earth. I was very against that widget.
Yep.
And I got drugged kicking and screaming into it because our stakeholders were asking for it. There were members that were asking for it. They wanted to be able to at least glance at tickets during their QBRs, during their client sessions. I'm like, fine, and so we built a tool for it, and it's made a lot of people happy.
Yep.
And so that is why you talk to your stakeholders, because your opinion, a lot of times we can get in our own head and our egos can get in the way and stop us from selling.
Yep.
The stakeholder will help you sell. It'll be client-led sales. You always hear about that being a great thing. And you'll have an ability to talk through and prioritize the right projects. Even though they need to harden that firewall, they're going to give you that $10,000 to make that sales process a little smoother. And maybe next time, say, hey, then maybe next time when you tell them about that firewall that needs to be strengthened, they'll listen to you because you're solving. You've got that seed value to that, and they're going to listen to you now.
Yeah. Well, it all comes down to the value that you have. And, sometimes we get into this deal, we hear our customers and we get this, what can be really great positive feedback, and they're like, I don't know what we'd do without you. Right. And that may sound really great. And many times it is, but are they talking about, I don't know how we would solve our problems without you, or I don't know how we would be successful without you? And there's a really important delineator there, because at a point, people want to quit solving problems, right? They're tired of being in reactive, they're tired of being a victim of whatever's going on, and they want to be successful. So they're looking for people to help them with their success. You do have to solve the problems along the way. That's, a reality of life, and specifically technology. But you've got to be part of their success to really be a valued member, other than someone who's important. All right. But the deal about important is important can be replaced. All right. If you have, if your car is important to you, if a vehicle is important to you, that's great. Right. But you can replace those at any time. I mean, there's a new model coming out every year. But how valuable are you? Does it do what you need to do? And does it increase? And the new shiny car comes out and you're like, yeah, but this one does everything I need. And it has the capacity to, store things, or, whatever it is, right? You've got a value versus importance level, and you need to understand the difference.
Yes. And that's just it. Like, I don't prioritize cars. I have a Tesla. Why? Because I need to save money on fuel. I have a truck. Why? Because I need to tow a camper. I'm not a car guy. I'll never own a fancy Camaro or something like that. My son wants me to buy a Lamborghini just because. Like, oh, cool.
Well, we already know you won't fit in the McLaren, so that one's off the list.
If you haven't seen that video out there, I do not fit in a McLaren. If I do, I'm going to get the top of my head chopped off.
Yeah. Well, it needed to be a little shorter so you could see out the sunroof. It was kind of like right at eye level, so you couldn't see the windshield, and you couldn't see over the top.
Yeah. So, this has been a great topic. Stakeholders are important, people. No. Get them into your sessions. Get them into your roadmap every year. No. Find a way to leverage them, and so that you can, like as Mike's saying here, create a list of services that you are delivering, and then do a gap analysis. Where can you perform better? Maybe they don't know about. They're not leveraging it because they didn't know.
Yep.
You've been too busy talking about warranties to tell them that you can actually help them in these other areas. Maybe they didn't know that you did VoIP. Maybe they don't know that you do website design as well. So that is how you do this stuff. You can use our gap analysis. Our gap analysis software is fantastic. So,
a final tip here. I said, the time, the cost of the key stakeholder interview is around scheduling that interview. And that's really about it. And I know some of you are thinking, getting those folks to show up, getting that on the calendar, that's going to be impossible. It's hard enough already. So here's your deal. You get that engagement with the CEO. All right. And I know those don't come around often. So plan ahead, be ready. and get that, that key decision maker executive in the organization to give you a list of names. And then you reach out to those people and you say, hey, your boss said we need to talk. All right. So you play the, the subordinate card on them and say, hey, we're supposed to meet. So it's not coming from you. It's your boss said we need to do this. Now, that'll break the ice. And after that, when you cascade those down and that key stakeholder gives you another name, you do the same thing. Hey, last week I was talking with Bob and, he said we should catch up and chat. And those two people are going to talk. And, the first one's going to say, oh, that was really easy. They just want to know about my business. And I think they're really kind of starting to learn what we're doing here. You ought to tell them about this, and that will set you up. It is so easy to do. And the rewards are so fantastic. I just can't stress the importance of the key stakeholder interviews enough.
Yeah, if you ever want to talk more about these, feel free to reach out to Skip or I, or we will talk about these all day because they are super important and they're rarely done. And for people who have done them, they will swear to you that this is the magic sauce to great client engagement. And people are like, well, I can't get my clients to come to the meetings. That's because you're probably talking about yourself too much.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hard truth for you. Anyways, thank you for coming on today. I'm going to play our intro on the way out because I like the unicorn and I didn't get to play it today. So see you all next week.
See ya.